Oh, yeah. Five-star. LSU. I said, they ain't ready for the LSU. No, they ain't ready for the LSU, huh? They ain't ready for the LSU. No, they ain't ready for the LSU. We the best in the league if you looking for talent. LSU going hard, but we beat Alabama, then we going out to Florida. Drown the Gators, everybody getting bucked when we step in the stadium. This the LSU anthem, you know it's a hit. You don't know another rapper two-step like this. See me screaming out the window, yelling purple and gold. I'm an LSU fan, girl, you know how we roll now. Back and back it on up. Hey, back and back it on up. Hey, back and back it on up. Hey, back and back it on up. Hey.
TA.
Back.
We live. We live. My wife's trying to show off her TA
We
shirt.
live, baby.
Trying to show off her TA shirt here. Yeah. Yeah.
Looks good. Looks good.
Supporting the show as always. Fantastic wife. Fantastic. Let's see. Nurse Court. I remember CD in the mail years ago. I guess 5-Star Hero was mailing out CDs not too long ago, huh? Or years ago. Trying to get some folks listening to his music. We got some stuff to talk about, folks. We got spring football. We got a crappy baseball series to talk about, and some basketball stuff to talk about. So let's get right into it. Zach, what have you heard today from or maybe we're talking about baseball first. Let's go ahead and hit the baseball series first. Baseball loses the series to Auburn. They lose 1 out of 3, or they win 1 out of 3, losing the series. Pretty brutal series to lose. This is one you feel like you should have won, maybe even swept. But the defense really hurts you again, a lot. And honestly kind of cost you this series. So I don't know how we're going to fix it, man. I mean, what do you tell guys, right? Like, stop committing errors? I mean, I don't know what you tell them. I mean, our bats, maybe the bats aren't doing as much as you want them to do, but I feel like they're doing enough for us to win these games. I mean, on Thursday night, if that play is made at first base, we get out of that jam, and it's 2-0, and we probably win the game, and we win the series, right? And then you had errors committed today that cost you runs. I mean, the collision between K. Doty and Jordan Thompson was just completely embarrassing, atrocious. It was horrible. I mean, it was just absolutely terrible. Don't run into each other trying to field a ball. Right, exactly. I mean, I guess that's what you got to tell them. I mean, I don't know. We really hype this team up because of its offensive ability. Its offensive potential, right? And I guess we overlooked the defense. We thought it would come. I mean, this is really the same team, except for, Jacob Berry. It's the same team. So last year we struggled a lot. And so, I mean, I don't know if we thought because the new coach it would bring some new energy, and I just don't know what we thought it would be, but this is not what we thought it would be. And I don't think this is really on Jay Johnson per se, because these aren't his guys. These are not Jay's guys. So I can't put everything on Jay Johnson here, because, I mean, Jay Johnson's not out there fielding balls. Jay Johnson's not out there committing errors. His team is. And there's only so much coaching you can do when it comes to like fielding and not like committing errors. It's absolutely crazy. And it's so like up and down. I mean, last weekend we were in the pits on Friday night. We were in the complete, absolute dumps. And then we come out Saturday, and our bats are rocking. It's rolling. We win 16-4, and then it moves into Sunday, and it's 11-2, and then it moves into the midweek game, and we scored 15 runs. And now here we are again, and we're like lost again. I don't know where to start with this baseball team. I don't know where to address other than the fielding. If you clean up these fielding issues, you win this series. You win this series. I honestly am just shocked at how horrible, at how absurd this defense is. I mean, we were not this bad at defense last year. We saw Jordan Thompson last year make incredible plays. K. Doty was as solid as it came last year at third base. I mean, he only had 8 errors last year. Like, what has happened? What has changed? I don't understand at a college level like this how you can continuously commit errors like this. I'm at a loss for words, honestly. I just something needs to change, but I don't know how we're going to change it. That's the problem. You know, I feel like Sammy Dutton did enough today. I mean, Mikhail definitely was incredible yesterday. I mean, he was the spotlight, I think, of the weekend. Blake Money did enough to get you that win too. I will say, I think Blake was pretty irritated on Thursday night when the error started happening. I mean, it was a complete implode. It was a complete implosion in that inning. So I can't quite blame Blake for being irritated, but he was pretty irritated. And supposedly there was an exchange between Blake and Bianco. 2 steps forward, 1 step back every single week. I mean, you're absolutely right, Landry, Mr. Bo Landry. I mean, you're absolutely right. That's what it feels like. It feels like, okay, we got some momentum. We're moving forward. And we have this Auburn series coming up that's a really, really winnable series. And then you blow it. I mean, you had an opportunity. We came into this weekend, I think it was 3rd in the West, but we were tied with somebody. It may have been Auburn at 3-3. And we were tied. And if you win the series, you're at 2nd place in the West, depending on how the other games play out. And now, I don't know where we sit now because I haven't been paying attention, honestly, to the rest of SEC baseball. I need to get in and look at some scores and figure out who's won, who's lost. But you were coming into the series looking pretty good. And it felt like a series you could win. And then you felt like you could move forward into next weekend to a Mississippi State team that has been struggling this year, who's lost, of course, Landon Sims. And they haven't looked as sharp. I mean, even when they had Landon Sims, they didn't look as sharp. And now they're without Landon Sims, and it feels like, you know, they just don't got it this year. So it feels like you have 2 weekend series in a row you can really win, which you can go to Starkville and win that series. You can. If you're not committing errors like this. You can't go into next weekend committing errors like this in Starkville because you're going to lose another series. I mean, these are costing you games. These errors are literally costing you series. It happened in the A&M series. It happened here in the Auburn series. Shoot, it happened Friday night against Florida. And it happened against Louisiana Tech when you lost in Baton Rouge. You are costing yourself games. You are beating yourself. You're not necessarily losing these games like the other team is beating you because you're beating yourself. I mean, even today, you were in a great position to make a push at the end of this game to come back and win. And then you score 2 runs and it's 4-3. And then you give up 2 more runs in the next inning because you commit errors. And you were set up. You were set up to get that last run. I mean, you were coming into the 8th inning with Barry, Joe Bear, and Thompson due up. But I digress. I'm not sure what they're going to do, what Jay Johnson is going to say. Because honestly, I feel like our pitching hasn't been the problem. I mean, maybe y'all can throw in some comments and point out some areas with pitching, but it's the fielding from my perspective, and I think we all can agree on that. I think all 3 of our starters did a good enough job to get this series. They did. You had every opportunity to take control of this series. Now, to move a little bit off of the errors a little bit, something that was also disappointing was Thursday night, you were 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. You did enough to win that game. Your pitching did you enough. But your bats could have overcome those errors if you would have capitalized. I'm not putting this series loss on the batting because I feel like your offense did enough. But it is disappointing that you were 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position, because on Thursday night, if you capitalize on 3-4 of those opportunities with runners in scoring position, you probably still win that game. But you were 0 for 9. And your errors didn't help, that's for sure. We'll see how it goes moving forward. But this team has got to focus in. They have got to, I don't know. I don't know how you get over the yips, right? This team is like cursed with committing errors. Y'all, I am concerned every time a team hits a ground ball. Every time there's a routine ground ball hit, I'm nervous. That is where we are at right now with this team. I am nervous at the fact that we cannot field a routine ground ball. It's hard to watch. It is, every time I see it, I feel like I'm going to puke. I mean, the whole situation with Thompson and Doty with the shift on and they collided was brutal. Absolutely brutal. Cost you the game because you had opportunities. But it is what it is. I digress. Zach is trying to get back in here, y'all. I think we're going to move forward here. I think I've covered just about everything with baseball. Zach was having some connection issues, but Zach, if you could give your final thoughts on the Auburn series, anything that I did not cover that you maybe saw, what do we got to do, Zach? Y'all, maybe solo tonight. We can get him. Can't hear you, bud. Can't hear you. Maybe we'll get him in here eventually. All right. Maybe solo tonight. Not sure.
Can you hear me now?
There it is. There it is. All right. Zach, give me your thoughts on anything about the Auburn series.
So, yeah, the biggest thing that I mentioned on our last podcast was that you needed to see if this team was going to be consistent with what they did against Florida. And unfortunately, the answer is no. They did not continue the consistency that they had. The biggest thing for me was the most frustrating for me was timely hitting. It seemed like that was somewhat corrected in the Florida series, and yet it really in the two games you lost, you did not see them do that. You did not see them have timely hits. In the bottom of the ninth on Friday night, they didn't get a timely hit when they needed it to in order to push through and win that game, and walk it off. And then today, Reagan, you know how frustrated I was from texting back and forth. You have bases loaded, you have a chance to tie it up or take the lead, and you don't come up with a clutch hit. Last night you did. In the Friday night game, you were able to come up with clutch hits in a timely manner, and you put them to bed. You were able to shut the door on them, and the game was over when they had those timely hits. When Jacob Berry came in and he got a hit. When Thompson came in and he got a hit. That was clutch hitting, and that's one of the things that we tweeted at, because it's something that this team has really lacked is timely clutch hitting. Last weekend you did it with Florida, and you took advantage of the mistakes that Florida gave you. This weekend, outside of the Friday game, you didn't do it. You have to fix that moving forward. You harped on the fielding, so I'm not going to really harp on that very much, because there's not a lot to really say on the fielding that I can say that you have already mentioned. It's awful. They're the worst in the league. They are the worst in the SEC fielding wise, and you've got to clean that up. So I'm not going to harp on that as much because you've already hit on it so much. My biggest thing is this team has got to find a way to start hitting timely hits. They've got to start finding clutch hits. And right now, they're just not doing it. They're just not doing it. And hopefully that comes later in the season as they mature, as they learn to play with each other. Another big thing is that we have to remember is that this team is still really young. This team is full of, sophomores, true sophomores, redshirt sophomores, freshmen. So they're still really young. They're still learning the game, the college game. And so there has to be some leniency there. Another thing is that I'm really frustrated with is, we've talked about how much of an impact Jay Johnson coming in, that the offense was going to play a key role in this series and just throughout the entire season. And so far, I've been impressed at moments, but then there's been other moments that I've been frustrated and upset because, I'm expecting this team to hit a lot better than they are. I need to go look at the numbers, Reagan, because I haven't yet. Mostly we've been paying attention to the fielding, all the numbers on that. Yeah. I need to go look at the numbers, and maybe some of our viewers that are watching right now can send this in the chat. So if send in the chat. I want to know where LSU is at hitting wise. What's their hitting percentage? Where are they at in regards to the SEC and the rest of the competition? I'd be very interested to know that.
Well, timely hitting, I think you're right there, but you got almost, I think 6 of your 9 or maybe 7 of your 9 guys in 300. Like, there's no excuse. You should be winning games.
Yeah.
Your fielding is costing you games.
Well, they're hitting great. I mean, it's not that they're not hitting. Yeah. It's that they're not hitting when they need to.
And the 0 for 9 on Thursday is
exactly
kind of that. But
you're hitting. You're hitting the baseball. I mean, and guys, a lot of guys are hitting homers. I mean, Braden Jobert is hitting a lot of homers. Cruz is hitting a lot of homers.
And that's what I'm worried about. That's what I'm worried about is, like, last year it felt like feast or famine too. It was like long ball or nothing, right? Exactly. We won the Oregon series because we were hitting so many darn home runs.
Yeah.
Not the Oregon series, the regional. I mean, you got the balk late in that game and whatnot, but I mean, you hit so many home runs in that. There's your stats there.
Thank you, Bobby. Bobby, the stat guru. LSU is hitting 297 on the year. ranked
Yeah, so
7th. So you're middle of the pack. I would expect LSU to be near the top tier of the SEC with this roster, with the guys that are in the lineup, and with the coaching of Jay Johnson and how much he emphasizes offense. I would expect them to be near the top of the SEC, and they're not. And yeah, you got guys that are hitting 300, but like we've said, they're not hitting when you really, really need them to. You've seen moments of clutch hitting like we did Friday night, but outside of the fielding, I think that's another reason that has cost you games because the pitching, it's been troublesome at times, but I feel like here recently in the SEC, Reagan, the starting pitching has given you the opportunities to win games, as you mentioned. So I think this really comes down to 100%. First thing is the fielding. Second thing for me, though, is timely hitting.
Yep. So one last thing here on the baseball, and then we'll move forward. If you'll throw up Chris English, his comment there, it says this series loss hurt. Auburn is not that good. I got to be honest. I think we underestimated Auburn. I mean, I know they're not the top tier, Zach, and I see your little grimace there. They're not the top tier team or whatever. You can grimace all you want. But when you got Ramsbach, who's batting over 400, and you got DeShera batting over 400, and that dude sent that ball to the freaking moon, dead center, to make it 4-1, that team is better than we thought. And you cannot deny it.
They can hit, but they don't have starting pitching right now.
Yes, they do. Gonzalez absolutely shut us down today.
That's the problem. But Gonzalez is not a first-round talent. Like Gonzalez is not an SEC ace. Like this team with this roster, they should be hitting on them.
It doesn't matter if he's not. He was better than what you expected.
He had a good game.
Shut you down until his last inning.
But how much of that, Reagan, is LSU not having a good day batting and not getting the hits that they need at the times that they need them?
Because of his pitching, yes. He did not throw a strikeout for several innings, but he was causing so many ground balls, we couldn't do anything.
TA Civil War.
Auburn, I'm telling you, Auburn's better than we thought. They're better. They have two of the best. You have the SEC leader in batting average and the SEC leader in hits.
I don't disagree there. I think their pitching is not good. Their pitching is not good in my opinion. And LSU, you saw it on Friday. LSU was knocking them around the yard. LSU's just been inconsistent when it comes to hitting the ball.
Yeah.
And that's the sad fact of the matter. But anyways, I digress.
I still think we got to give Jay Johnson. Let's not, like again, I said, let's not hang this at Jay Johnson's feet because I just don't think this is Jay Johnson. I mean, we saw this kind of stuff last year, struggling, and it's the same team, y'all, other than Jacob Berry. And Jacob Berry did not field very much at Arizona. He was their DH, but you really don't have anybody. Maybe Merrifield, maybe I don't know, Joe Bear. I don't know. So you kind of have to put him out there. So it's really the same team plus Barry. So it is what it is. But we got some more to talk about. Let's move forward here to the basketball team. Lots and lots and lots of portal news.
Crazy, man.
Absolutely
crazy.
You do not have a scholarship player left.
Who's left? Parker Edwards? We got a 3-point corner specialist.
Yeah. Parker. And some other dudes who sit on the end of the bench. I mean, the entire team, your entire rotation plus some is in the portal. Now, Zach, I think I mentioned this to you a little bit, or maybe it was actually Bobby. I think I mentioned it too. I think you may get one or two back. I mean, Pinson, Murray, Sharif O'Neal, Adam Miller have all said that they would still consider LSU. I think most of them, if not all of them, are gone. but I think McMahon can pull some back in because there's a case to be made. Like, hey, we're losing everybody. If you stay, you're going to get some playing time, right?
True.
So there's a case to be made for Matt McMahon with some of these players. Like, hey, everybody's leaving. If you stay, you're probably going to get a lot of minutes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, especially if it's somebody in the normal rotation or Adam Miller. So I think you can pull one or two back in. I mean, we saw this with Miles Brennan, right? He left, we didn't leave, but went to the portal, was testing the waters. Brian Kelly convinced him, had a case for him to come back, and he did. And I think Matt McMahon can do the same with maybe one, maybe two. Two players could come back or so because, I mean, you're wiped clean. So we'll see what he can do. But you have gotten some other transfers in. You've gotten 3 guys so far. And, of course, obviously, we're going to have to completely rebuild this team from the portal.
Yeah.
And you've gotten 1 high school player. Zach, what have you and he finished his staff as well, and we'll get to that. But, Zach, what do you make of this? I mean, this is nuts.
Well, I think the first thing that I would say is this is to be expected. With everything that we've seen, you've really started to realize that a lot of these guys that were on this LSU team, they were Will Wade guys. They were Will Wade guys through and through. And,
they may have Will Wade money.
Exactly. What'd you say?
They may have some Will Wade money.
Exactly. Exactly. They're at LSU for a certain reason, right? And now that those reasons are gone, what is there to stay? And this is a big subject, Reagan. Like, we are starting to see now, and it's kind of been, I love it, Bobby. It's kind of been, I guess, something that I'm not really too happy with is that you are starting to see that players are coming to play for schools because of other reasons. We'll just put it like that. Because of other reasons outside of wanting to play for those colors, right?
Yep.
And that's the sad reality. Like, you're really starting to see guys. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to get those guys. I mean, you are always going to have guys that are going to commit to LSU because they're Louisiana through and through, right? And,
maybe.
There's a lot of what'd you say?
I said maybe Javonte Smart.
But listen, there's a lot of talent in North Louisiana basketball-wise. There is. Our good buddy Ant Marshall, who's come on the show before, I mean, he can attest to that. There's a lot of really good, talented basketball players that are in North Louisiana, and so you hope that there's guys out there that are Louisiana through and through, and they want to come and they want to play for their school, right? And so you're always going to have that. But nowadays, with NIL, with players being paid, which is nothing new, right? That's been happening, right? You're going to see more of that, and that's the sad reality. But it's something that we have to accept, And so this is not a shock to me that we've seen a complete overhaul, as y'all saw it on our opening thumbnail. It's a McMahon makeover. It is a complete McMahon makeover. You have lost every single person that you knew on this basketball team, and now they're all gone. And he's going to have to hit the transfer portal hard. He's going to have to hit high school recruiting hard. And he's doing that. You've seen that. In the last week, you've gotten 4 guys to commit to LSU basketball. And it's not like they're nobodies. I mean, you've gotten 2 guys from Murray State. If you get KJ Williams, you're looking pretty good. We had a good conversation, Reagan, in Spaces the other night, which really interested me. Do you prefer a Justice Hill over an Xavier Pinson? Do you prefer a Kendall Coleman over a Darius Days? Do you prefer a KJ Williams over a Brandon Murray? I mean, those are good arguments.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a team, a lot of those guys on that Murray State team, they're good players. They're good players. I mean, they're they're all conference type players. And they're a part of a team that went 30-2 last year. They lost 2 games, Reagan. We've talked about that. So, it's not – I don't want LSU fans to freak out because it really can get that way. Like, I think it was Wilson Alexander that tweeted it, like, or maybe it was Saturday on South or something like that. I can't remember, but it was like basically the list of everybody that LSU has lost. And it's a long list. I mean, it's the entire team.
Yeah.
And so when you look at that, as LSU fans, it's easy to react and go, "Oh my gosh, this whole program is falling apart. We're about to be hit with these postseason bans." And I understand that. Like, I totally understand that. I mean, we're not looking forward to, getting hit with what the NCAA hits us with these postseason bans. But we have to realize that this was something that was going to happen. And now it's up to Matt McMahon. He was brought here for a reason. We're paying the man, on average $3 million a year. He's making like, what is it, 4 times, 3 times? What I don't do math, Reagan. It's been 6 years since I've been in math. It's been a long time since I've been math in
like $1.5 billion
school math class.
More.
But I mean, they're paying him 44
that.
times his salary that's making Murray State. Now it's up to him to put a team on the court that can compete in the SEC.
Yeah.
And I trust him too. We've seen already 2 guys from Murray State transfer. I hope and expect to see KJ Williams. If you see KJ Williams, I can kind of rest a little bit more and feel at ease. So I think the biggest thing for me is we don't need to overreact to all this that's happening because it was expected.
Ryan, you throw Ryan Thibodeau's comment back up there. I can't agree with that, man. I can't. Look, I can get Trey Hannibal may not be an SEC caliber player. I can get that. But Justice Hill and Kendall Coleman.
Yeah, did you see what Kendall Coleman did to LSU, Ryan?
Kendall Coleman
did to LSU this past
16
year?
points and 13 rebounds against LSU. He had a double-double against LSU this year. Justice Hill is very good, and KJ Williams is very good. I mean, is Xavier Pinson really an SEC caliber guard? I mean, is he? I mean, there was times when we liked the way he maneuvered the ball, but I don't think that Xavier Pinson, shooting-wise, is an SEC caliber player. I just don't. I love Xavier Pinson to death, and I would be thrilled to see him come back because he can facilitate the offense so well. But, I mean, he came from a Missouri team that was never really that good, and he was probably their best player, right? So I think Justice Hill specifically and Kendall Coleman are SEC caliber players. I mean, Justice Hill was in the average double-digit points this season, and if you land KJ Williams, that's definitely an SEC caliber player. I mean, that is a player that probably there's multiple SEC schools that would love to have him on their team because he's transferring right now. So, yes. But
Ryan said, "Yes, I know." I was referring to the Murray State players, and that's what we're saying, Ryan. I mean, Justice Hill and KJ Williams.
I can get.
I'm not going to say that they're not SEC caliber because, first off, Reagan, basketball is just different. Basketball is different. You've got teams, and AD made a good point about this other night, where Gonzaga is playing like a Power 5.
Villanova, Final Four.
Duke, Kansas. I mean, those teams, we got to get out of the football mindset of, because football and basketball, the talent level from P5 G5 is a lot closer. I mean, way closer, talent level wise. So we got to get out of that mindset. But Ryan Thibodeau, I understand what you're thinking. I understand what you're thinking. It's easy to think that when you think Murray State, you're like, who is Murray State? Where in the world is Murray State? Like, like something. So, I get that thinking, but we got to understand that basketball is a whole different animal when it comes to talent wise and players transferring. I mean, you got Tari Eason from Cincinnati, and if you just think Cincinnati, you don't really think a really big,
And he averaged
major
8
Power
points.
5 school. I mean, you saw them absolutely get smacked around in college football playoff by Alabama, and you don't think, well, they didn't deserve to be there. But in basketball, we just got Tari Eason, and he was your best player.
He's about to be a round one draft pick, and he averaged 8 points a game at Cincinnati.
Yeah, he's gonna be one of the guys selected. So,
I feel like it's premature to just consider them not to be good enough players to play at LSU. And I mean, also you have, I mean, to talk about it now, because we need to talk about it too. He's completed his paid staff. Like there will be more guys that will come in and contribute to the staff than the 3 that he's hired, obviously. But these are the paid staff members, the 4 members of the staff. Obviously, McMahon is the head coach, and then you saw Cody Topert come from Memphis. You saw Casey Long join him from his staff at Murray State. And to finalize his staff, he got Ronnie Hamilton from Ole Miss. A very recruit-focused staff.
yes.
Topert was a recruiter. Hamilton was a recruiter. Casey Long was one of his recruiters. I mean, this is a very recruit-focused staff.
In which Topert and Hamilton, they were those teams' best recruiters.
Yeah. I mean, especially Topert. That was a pretty big. I mean, Memphis has landed some big names here lately. I mean, guys like James Wiseman and Precious Achua, Lester Quinones was a big recruit. He hasn't panned out to be the massive recruit everybody thought he was, but he's at Memphis. You think about Amani Bates,
somebody that didn't work out,
Jalen Durham,
somebody that they pulled away from LSU.
So, I mean, this is a great staff to have in this moment when you have got to rebuild a team completely. And you want guys who can go and evaluate talent really well. And I think he did a great job of selecting his staff to do that in this situation. Again, a recruiting-focused staff is going to be a bonus when you're hitting the portal like this. And look, guys, there is a lot of guys in the portal. We don't, like Zach said, we don't need to freak out because I've seen a lot of portal. I mean, there's a guy from Illinois, there's a guy from Memphis, there's 2 from Arkansas. There's KJ Williams is still out there, and there's hundreds, probably more in the portal. So you can rebuild this team if no player from LSU comes back at all. Not if a single player comes back from LSU. Matt McMahon is still going to put a team out there together. So yes, you can't expect that LSU this coming year, when they're looking at sanctions and they're having to rebuild a team completely, and you got a new coach in his first year, you can't expect them to compete in the SEC for the SEC title. Like you just can't have that expectation because you have no idea what you're going to put out there. I mean, it could be a completely remade team. Like there could be not a single player from this year's team that we saw on next year's team, which is kind of crazy to think, but that's the reality of it. So you just can't have that expectation that it's going to be immediate either. But I like Matt McMahon. One of the coaches that in college basketball that I love to death as a coach is Jay Wright, who coaches at Villanova. Obviously, they lost tonight, but Jay Wright is just an incredible coach, and I love Jay Wright. And the reason I liked Matt McMahon as a coach so much is because he reminds me a lot of Jay Wright. And so I'm super pumped to see what he can do in the future. You never know. He can put together this incredible team of transfers and have a heck of a season. But obviously next year, as Ryan's saying, absolutely not. No expectations should be made in next year's team. Correct. But I'm looking forward to this. I mean, there's going to be a lot of news. We'll keep you updated on that because we're going to be hitting the portal like crazy. You also did get the high school commit. He was committed to Murray State. He was committed to Matt McMahon and Casey Long at Murray State. Cornelius Williams, he's a center. I think he's in North Carolina.
Bro, they need to put some Cajun food in that man because, dude, that
He's
man is lanky.
He's lanky.
He's skinny boy. I'm skinny, but dude, that man is skinny.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. I'm rolling with Matt McMahon. I like what he's done so far. Zach, let's hit a quick break. We'll come back and we'll hit a little Tell Me TA. A little Tell Me TA.
I'll get them ready.
So y'all hit us in the comments with some Tell Me TA. And then we'll wrap it up with our last segment. We're going to talk a little bit of spring football. Hey, let's take this quick break, and then we'll hit you back with some Tell Me TA.
5-Star Hero, your intro and outro music for the Tigers Avenue show. They ain't ready for that LSU. Go check out all his other music on all the major platforms. Don't forget to follow him on Instagram at Saints Anthem and at Twitter at One Nation Doty. Don't forget to check out his Facebook page for all his Saints and LSU merchandise. 5-Star Hero. Can't get any better than Sarah Klein Stevens, attorney at law. Her firm focuses on the needs of the elderly and maintaining their dignity throughout the process. Here for you, here for your family. Sarah Klein Stevens, attorney at law.
Hey guys, y'all go hit that like and share button before we get into Tell Me TA. But go ahead, start firing your comments. Hashtag Tell Me TA. But y'all hit that like and share. If you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, click off, go hit subscribe, and then come right back.
Look, I got to tell you something first. I know we're doing Tell Me TA, but let me tell you something.
Oh, boy.
I only got 64 followers on my Twitter, okay? It's lacking. I know y'all see that down there. Y'all see the handle down there. Show me some love, brother.
Yeah, y'all go follow Reagan.
I'm just messing.
You know, you need to get you a personality. You know, I'm the Zac Efron of TA. So, you know, all of a sudden my Twitter's like blown up, you know. But anyway.
Yeah. Tell me, TA, which position have you impressed? Have you been impressed with from spring practices so far? Zach, who you been impressed with the most?
Which position group? So for me, so far, it's been probably the running backs. We've seen a lot of footage of.
May have lost him. All right. Well, I'll let him come back and finish his comment on the running backs. Oh, Zach, you may need to restart that comment. You cut out there.
Oh, okay. Shocker. I'm not surprised. My internet cut out. Wow. I'm so surprised. Get my head in the game. Yeah. Tell my internet to get its head in the game. I came downstairs because nobody's here tonight, and I directed straight into the computer from the router, and we're still having problems. Not surprised.
Nice.
Xfinity strikes again. Thank you, Ryan Thibodeau.
Very nice.
Yes, Xfinity is absolute. In the words of Blake, it's Rudy poo. It's hot garbage. It's poo water is what it is. But for me, Brandon, it's been running back. And mainly I think a lot of that is just because I'm really excited to see the year that John Emery is going to have. I mean, a lot of people have worse than Les Miles. Good grief, Bobby. Dang. I don't know if it's worse than Les Miles. Anyways, but yeah. I'm really excited.
All right. I'll give my position group who I've been impressed with the most so far. I've really liked, which this may be just a player. I've liked the leadership that you've seen out of Mike Jones. I love what I've seen out of Mike Jones. So if I had to say it, I guess linebacker. You've seen, obviously, everybody wants to know about the quarterbacks, and you've seen clips about the quarterbacks. I'm super pumped to see how that plays out. You were getting updates today about which, Bobby, you can go ahead and throw it up there. Go ahead and throw up there that last thing. We're talking about the spring for our last comment here, and since we're doing Tell Me TA, there you go. Spring football update. Tell Me TA. So here comes that. But linebacker, I've been really impressed with it. Specifically, Mike Jones. If you want to hear from Mike Jones, Mike Jones, go check out Blake's show. Are You Serious Sports? He comes on there pretty often to hear from him. But his leadership has been something that I've liked a lot, and I'm excited to see how the quarterback room obviously plays out. Zach, I was mentioning you saw a lot from the media today about some stuff about how he threw a 65-yard touchdown, Miles Brennan did, and that Jaden Daniels was antsy in the pocket, maybe left a little too early, ran a little too early. I don't know how much you make of that, Zach. I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, I heard that also on the 65-yard touchdown, it would have probably been considered a sack, Miles Brennan.
Yeah, I had not heard that. I want to be careful of what I say here. I'm curious to see how much of what was put out today is a narrative trying to be pushed. That's probably as far as I'll go with that. But nonetheless, reported Miles Brennan throws a 65-yard touchdown to Jeray Jenkins. Jeray Jenkins, I'm excited to see that, because Jeray Jenkins seems like a guy that could potentially be, pushed further down in the depth chart. A guy that hasn't been talked about as much this offseason. The dude won you the Texas A&M game.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like you got guys. You got a ton of guys. You got, of course, Kayshon Boutte, who's probably the best wide receiver in the country. You've got Jack Besh as a really solid number 2. You've got Malik Neighbors, who looks like he's going to have a breakout season. You've got Brian Thomas, who looks like he could have a breakout season.
Yeah.
And you've also got Chris Hilton, who looks like he's going to have a breakout season. And that's just to name a few. I mean, the list just goes on and on. And Jeray Jenkins is a guy who's been loyal to the program. He's stuck it out for a really long time. In my opinion, a guy that probably deserves the number 18 jersey. I kind of expect him to get that, just because of what he's been for the program and all that. And so I love to see that. Miles Brennan throws a bomb. Obviously, we're expecting probably Jaden Daniels to take over QB1. I think me and you can both agree we probably fully expect him to be the starting quarterback whenever they come out against Florida State on that Sunday. But, we can't forget Miles Brennan still has a cannon, right? And sack or not, I don't know about that.
Man.
But, hey, look, who's somebody who's really impressed me outside of running back, and I know I couldn't say much. I was going to say DB because Greg Brooks has blown up onto the scene.
He's got like 3 or 4 picks this spring.
Let me tell you, Arkansas, we're going to have to bring Austin or Ben Brandon back in here or Preston Jones back in here because, there's a little salt with Greg Brooks and Shea transferring. But let me tell y'all, they are tearing it up right now in spring practice. Greg Brooks had 2 interceptions today.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah, he had one earlier.
And I think he had a couple interceptions like a few days ago or something like that. Like dude's blowing up onto the scene. So, really impressive to me. I'm really curious to see, moving forward, how the DB room shakes out. We kind of got word. If y'all were on Blake's show the other day, which I know a lot of y'all were, he kind of gave us word that they are targeting some defensive backs. He didn't say who, but, they're targeting some guys at DB. And so that's curious to me because it seems like, if they're targeting some guys, either they're really worried about the depth there or they're thinking that the guys that they have right now can't get it done and they're going to look for somebody to come in and kind of take on that role opposite of Bernard Converse. Because I've got a good feeling that Jarek Bernard Converse is going to be, one of those guys that's put out on the island, at one position, at one of the cornerback positions. But, maybe they're worried about the other position. And you kind of saw that because I think Brian Kelly was questioned about it today. He was questioned about linebacker. He was questioned about DB, and he just said, those are things that they're going to have to work themselves out.
Yeah.
And so, I kind of expect them to hit the portal with that, and it'll be interesting to see moving forward, especially once we get into the fall. Who's going to take on that other cornerback role opposite of Jarrett?
Hey, throw AD's comment, hashtag tell me TA, do your parents have a shrine a little bit further up? Do your parents have a shrine for Zach's 8th grade goat season? Hey, there's a Facebook picture somewhere. I'm going to find it for y'all of Lil Zach behind the line that was all taller than him at QB.
I couldn't see him on my line.
He had to pull a Drew Brees, probably to stand on his tippy toes to throw over him, but it is what it is. Hey, I got the 9th grade Jaguar award. I got my shine somewhere.
Look, Reagan was kind of getting recruited there before he decided to blow out his knee.
Barely. The hashtag tell me TA, what's your most anticipated position battle? I mean, quarterback? I mean, what? No, I mean, I'm really interested to see Torres up there. All right, guys. All right, let's not.
That was Bobby.
All right, Bobby. Let's chill out there. Chill out. We'll see how. All right. Hashtag tell you what's your most anticipated position battle. I'm really interested to see the starting receivers. I mean, because there is a lot. There is a ton. Like you went through the list. I think it was Brian Thomas, Malik Neighbors, Chris Hilton Jr., Jeray Jenkins, Keyshawn Butte, Jack Besh. Like, I'm really interested to see. I mean, you can throw all those guys out there in a rotation somehow, but I'm interested to see who gets the starting roles. Zach, who's your most anticipated position battle?
Man, that's a tough one. I think for me, it's offensive line. I know there's some guys there that are kind of like expected to be the starter. Yep. A lot of the transfers that we've gotten and potential other transfers that we will get, they're kind of seems like they've been penciled in. But I don't think that's the case. I fully expect that to be a battle. I think there was word that Charles Turner was at the center position today.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see the offensive line because the offensive line is going to be the key. I really believe into how this offense is going to run. It's going to be the key in how this offense is efficient. Jaden Daniels has to be able to have time to sit back there and throw to guys like Keyshawn Butte, Jack Besh, Brian Thomas, Malik Neighbors, Jeray Jenkins.
Yeah.
He's got to have the time. And there's a lot of question marks. The offensive line last year, they had a rough start, but they really improved throughout the year. And overall, they actually had a pretty good season for the offensive line. But you have a lot of question marks coming into the season.
Yeah.
You don't really, so I'm interested to see how that plays out because I think that is going to play a major role. We know in the SEC, it's the lines. It's the lines that win you games.
Yep.
Offensive and defensive lines in the SEC are what win you football games. And so LSU has to solidify a starting five that is going to gel well together and that is going to be able to, of course, pass block and rush block to the best of their ability, to get lanes open for John Emery and to give time to Jaden Daniels, Miles Brennan. And so, that's probably the biggest one for me.
I have not heard anything about Miles Frazier. Is he there yet? Or is he coming in the summer?
I'm actually not sure about that either.
I have not heard a word about it.
Maybe a moderator.
We need an update on there. Somebody help us out on that.
Give us an update. I think he's looking.
I wanted to hear about that too. I think Garrett Dellinger winds up at center, but I wanted to hear about Miles Frazier, and I haven't heard nothing yet.
Because he's he's expected to be the starting left tackle.
Right. So Dave _S, tell me TA, if the tight end cut from Texas, I guess that is A&M, graduates in May, transfer to LSU, and be eligible to play this fall. I want to know, is this Cooper Kupp's little brother?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I saw his
I'm
name
not,
the
I'm
other
not
day.
sure. I'm not sure, honestly. AD did tell us Miles is here. So I don't know if you know about this, Reagan. But if you don't, I'll go ahead. So per NCAA rules, to be able to transfer within the same conference, so from one SEC school to an SEC school, there is a deadline. There is a cutoff, and
Yeah.
that date, and that's to enter the transfer portal. So you can be entered into the transfer portal before this cutoff date and still commit to another school, and I believe have immediate eligibility. But there's a cutoff date for just entering the portal, and that was February 1st. Cup did not enter the transfer portal until after February the 1st. So, from what I know, Dave, okay, so I'm not telling you this 100%, but from what I understand and from what I know, he cannot start or have immediate eligibility if he transfers to LSU this season. I believe he would have to sit out this fall per those NCAA regulations. I'm not 100% on that, but from what I've looked into it, that's what I believe.
Gotcha. So, I mean, that can roll into this next one here from Ryan Thibodeau. Tell me about the tight ends. Not much to tell you about. I mean, Cole Taylor, Jack Mashburn. Yeah, it's pretty short
Mason
conversation.
Taylor, the freshman.
I mean, who is that? You said
Mason Taylor, the incoming
Mason
freshman.
Taylor, the freshman. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think if they can land somebody in the transfer portal, they will. According to what Zach said, maybe Cup isn't that guy unless he wants to come, but maybe he won't get immediate eligibility. We don't know. So, I mean, right now, I don't know. I mean, I think that's a.
But
Who would you think?
something we mentioned in the last podcast is you've seen a lot of Cole Taylor. You have seen a lot of Cole Taylor, and I believe he's been in the slot if I'm correct, and recalling my memory, which isn't great, but we've seen a lot of Cole Taylor actually, and at least the footage that I've watched, Reagan. I don't know about you, but the footage that I've watched, we've seen a lot of Cole Taylor. I mentioned this in the last podcast, Ryan, so I don't want to be too repetitive, but I don't expect a whole lot from the tight end position. Unless they, maybe bring in a big time transfer or just a transfer period to get some more depth there. I don't think they have the personnel to do with the tight ends what they want to do or what they typically do. I expect Mike Denbrock and I expect graduate transfers are exempt. So if he is a graduate transfer from A&M, he can have immediate eligibility. Thank you, AD, for saying that. If he has not, then yes, he will have to sit out. But to go back to the tight ends, I fully expect Mike Denbrock and Brian Kelly, and they're doing offensive install right now.
No doubt.
I expect them to center this offense around the athletes that they have. And right now, they just don't have the personnel at tight end, I believe, to do what they want to do. And so I don't believe you're going to see the tight ends. You're going to see them, run plays through the tight ends. There's going to be schemes around the tight ends, but I don't expect to see, what we've seen out of a typical Mike Denbrock, Brian Kelly offense and what they've done with the tight ends, some 2 tight end sets. I don't expect to see a lot of that this season just because of the personnel, unless they hit the transfer portal and get some guys and they're able to get more comfortable there. But Brian Kelly has told you straight up in his first press conference before the spring, the tight end room is not where it's at.
Yeah,
it's not where it needs to be.
No doubt. I did like from Brian Kelly his press conference today after the 5th practice. Moving to this next week, you found out from him that they're going to start divvying up reps, and that may give you some insight to where they're at right now, maybe with some depth charts and whatnot, because they're going to start divvying up those reps, and so we're going to see some of that here soon. And also, I like that he said, right now he kind of loved this period of time because he was learning or teaching the guys how to be prepared, how to prepare. And I like that about him, because it feels like there's times in the past where, there just wasn't a structure. There just wasn't clear focus and agenda on everything that was being done. And obviously, you haven't had media accessibility like you have in past either, like Brian Kelly has given up to this point when it comes to spring practice. But I love his emphasis on accountability and his preparedness and speaking on teaching the guys how to be prepared to do certain things. There's a clear vision, there's a clear focus, and it seems to be a continual thing for Brian Kelly to teach these guys habits and routine. And I really like what I'm seeing out of camp so far, or out of spring football so far. So I'm excited when it comes into this this coming fall, what we're going to look at, because, man, it feels really nice to have a competent coach who has a vision and a plan. All right, one last Tell Me TA, and then we're going to hit a break and wrap the show up. Tell me, TA, what does LSU does with second, third, and shortstop? Changes? I'm not exactly sure what the question is there, but I think I saw a comment earlier that mentioned, do you move Doty to third and try somebody at shortstop? I don't know, guys, honestly.
At this point,
what
else can you do?
I mean, if you want my honest opinion, and this may not be a popular opinion, and Zach may hate this. In fact, I think you move Doty to third, and at this point, your fielding is costing you games. I think you sacrifice a little offense, and I think you put Drew Bianco at shortstop, because you need a sense of calm that when a routine ground ball goes down, you're not worried you're going to commit an error. And Drew Bianco, he may not be the most incredible shortstop, but Drew Bianco is one of your best defensive players on the team and can play just about any he can play just about any defensive position, maybe other than catcher on the field, and he's going to be pretty darn good at it. I would love to see that. But I don't know how that would change the lineup offensively or what. But I would love a sure hand over there, and I think Drew Bianco would be that guy, honestly. And Doty was solid at third last year. Put him where he's comfortable. So I don't know how that would change the lineup offensively, but that's something I wouldn't mind seeing. Zach, you got anything else?
No, I don't have anything else sports related, but I do want to tell our viewers, for those of you that may have not seen, we announced it on Twitter. So every Saturday night and every Saturday night, Sunday morning, I should say, and every Wednesday night, Thursday morning, we're actually going to be doing an official TA space, Tigers Avenue Twitter space. For those of you that maybe don't know what that is, on Twitter, they have these things called spaces. You can get in there and talk and just discuss things. Anybody's welcome to join in, listen, and even speak. So this has been something we've been kind of doing here recently, just every now and then, but we're going to kind of make an official schedule, honestly, because there's been nights I haven't been able to do it and people have asked me to do it. There's been nights that I've been able to do it and somebody else was doing it or whatever. And there's also been nights that we've been doing it and I just straight up fell asleep because after 2 a.m. I'm done. After 2 a.m. It gets hard for me. So some of you guys, maybe AD is still in here. Nurse Court, I know that's kind of and Al and Bo Landry, a lot of those guys are in there with us that late. Some of y'all could beat me out, but we're going to cut it off at 2 a.m. So 12 a.m. to 2 a.m. We're going to do a TA space. What did Bobby say? All that basketball you were playing for the Wildcats making you tired.
Get your head in the game.
Moderator madness. I love it. But yeah, that's all I've got. Nurse Court. There we go. So yeah, guys. So we're gonna be doing that tonight at midnight. a midnight to 2 a.m. space. We'll be discussing anything and everything LSU. Of course, Reagan won't be in there because he's an old cruddy fuddy dud. And
I got to preach in the morning.
And has to get bed early because he's got to preach in the morning. I do agree, though. I believe who was it? Was it Ryan Thibodeau? Ryan Thibodeau said Reagan's got to get in the spaces more. I can't disagree there.
Look, if y'all want to come and do some biblical, if y'all want to come and do some biblical interpretation homework for me, you are more than welcome to, and I'll join them Twitter spaces. But unless y'all don't want to write a 15-page paper on Malachi chapter 3, I might not be in the Twitter spaces, okay? Now you know the life of a pastor and a biblical scholar, student, whatever you want to call it. All right, guys, let's run them ads, and then we'll come back and wrap the show up. Appreciate y'all listening and joining in.
5-Star Hero, your intro and outro music for the Tigers Avenue show. They ain't ready for that LSU. Go check out all his other music on all the major platforms. Don't forget to follow him on Instagram at Saints Anthem and at Twitter at One Nation Doty. Don't forget to check out his Facebook page for all his Saints and LSU merchandise. 5-Star Hero. Can't get any better than Sarah Klein Stevens, attorney at law. Her firm focuses on the needs of the elderly and maintaining their dignity throughout the process. Here for you, here for your family. Sarah Klein Stevens, attorney at law. Make sure you go follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, all at Tigers Avenue, for daily updates on the show and all things LSU sports. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to click off and hit that subscribe button at Tigers Avenue. We broadcast all of our shows live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.
Guys, we want to encourage you to go and check out our website at tigersavenue.podbean.com. You can find the playlist to our YouTube as well as all of our latest episodes on the front page. If you go to the pages link, you can find 5-Star Heroes merch and all of his beats that are available on Apple Music and Spotify. If you go to our sponsors, you can see all of the sponsors that support Tigers Avenue and check out all of their info. If you check out the Tiger Times page, you can go and see all of our games that we've attended at Alex Box Stadium, Tiger Stadium, and the PMAC through the years. And if you click on the support page, you can go and find the QR codes for our Cash App and our PayPal to support Tigers Avenue. Again, all of this you can find at tigersavenue.podbean.com.
All right. Reagan gone biblical. Amen. It's the way to do it, baby. Way to do it. That was awesome, y'all. I really appreciate y'all joining in for our Tell Me TA time. That was a really fun time. Appreciate all y'all joining in and commenting and interacting. We love to do it. We appreciate y'all joining our show and showing your continued support. Hey, Kansas is in, and it's halftime currently between Duke and North Carolina, 34-37. So you can click off of Tigers Avenue show right here when we end, and you can go watch the second half, find out who's going to be playing in the championship on Monday night. Appreciate y'all joining in. We'll catch you next time on Monday in the Tigers Avenue. 5-Star Hero, take us out. Peace.
Who that 5-star? Who that 5-star? And the LSU Tigers, LSU Tigers.